What's going on, guys? Bart here with Tully Television, and I want to thank all of you for showing up, liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, all of that beautiful YouTube stuff. Only together can we go straight to the moon, baby. Today, I'm going to be getting into um, Smallville Season 5 review. That's right, we do season reviews here at Smallville. At this point, we're going to be halfway done with the watch through or the rewatch on my end. We go through some episodes to highlight our thoughts about what the season is, where the next season's going to go, and all that beautiful stuff. The playlist is called Small Talk, um, and you can catch up on the other four seasons and this season review. And run through the cast real quick, of course. We got Tom Welling as Superman. That's right, I got notes. Tom Welling as Clark Kent. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. Kristen Craig as Lana. John Glover as Lionel Luthor. Allison Mack as Chloe Sullivan. Annette O'Toole and Jonathan Schneider are Mom, Pa Kent, John and Martha Kent, and Erica Durance is um, Lois, Lois Lane. Now, this season, I think, has been one of the better seasons to date. Up until this date, we get the full deterioration of Lex and Clark's relationship. We also get Lana and Clark being Splitsville, and Lana with Lex in a romantic sense at this point. We get the introduction of a new character by the name of Professor Fine, who winds up being more than what he was initially perceived at, and became a big part of the season. And of course, I'm going to go through some episodes that I personally liked in the season. Um, I am going to mention one episode, though, that isn't on the list of episodes that I liked, but still had a guest appearance by Cyborg. I thought that was a pretty nifty cameo. Him and Clark, of course, have that uh, standard misunderstandings. Hero super. Ugh, I know how to talk. You know how to talk. The superhero not understanding each other fight, and then they get to understand that they're on the same page and make it where Victor was just looking to escape his captors, and Clark helped him with that. Um, I also liked how we reached 100 episodes this season, and we wound up losing a main cast member also, who came back a couple times in the season after his death, and that was, of course, Jonathan Kent. Now, the season itself was about Fine trying to open a portal for General Zod to inhabit a human vessel. So then because his physical body was destroyed, but his soul, his essence, is still in the Phantom Zone. So what the plan was for Fine to team up with Lex. Lex created all these antibodies that were going to be eventually used against him, because he wound up making like an ultimate vaccine, because he was afraid that when Fine brought the Kryptonians or whoever to Earth, that they were going to bring diseases with them, and he created an ultimate vaccine. And Fine injected that vaccine into him, um, for him to wind up becoming the vessel of Zod here on Earth. And ultimately, by the end of the season, he was successful in that. But before we discuss that last episode, I'm going to go through a couple of episodes that I thought were pretty nifty throughout the season or perhaps had an impact on later episodes or seasons. The first one I want to particularly talk about, of course, is the season premiere of season 5 called Arrival, where we see another meteor shower happening at Smallville, and it caused a ton of chaos. One of the things that happened was Lana getting into a helicopter accident after trying to escape from Lex's mansion, and she wound up getting knocked out. But when she came to, there was a spaceship in her presence, and that wound up disappearing. And her and Lex wound up throughout the season working together to find out the secrets of that spaceship. But here, also in this episode, Clark loses his powers temporarily, and it made him feel more at ease the first few episodes because he was able to be just a human person. He experienced bleeding for the first time and was able to really lean into the relationship with him and Lana because there was like nothing else to hide now. And of course, he wound up having to make the sacrifice of getting his powers back and starting to lie to Lana again. And yeah, it's unfortunate that that relationship really ended the way it did because if Clark, because what ended up happening near the end is when Lex ended up getting similar powers as Clark, Lana was very accepting of him, even though she was a bit scared. She was accepting of him. And for Clark to hear that she was so accepting of that, it really must have had to crush him on top of knowing she was with Lex. So, later on, again near the end of the season, when Lex becomes the Vessel Zod, you know, uh, it really just everything just comes down on him mentally. The next episode I got a kick out of or thought was good was episode 4 called Agua. And of course, this is the first appearance of Aquaman in Smallville. And the actor who plays in that part is no, is at this point a veteran actor. He was in Blue Mountain State. He even played Hawk in the Titans show that came out the last few years. So he's played two different DC character heroes. I think that was pretty cool. And I think he does Jack Reacher show. I think Jack Reacher is called. It's called so, something like that. It's kind of like a action series. And basically, Lex was running experiments through his company that was affecting the sea life, and that is what made Aquaman make his appearance. And he wound up having a little connection with uh, Lois because he saved her and gave her CPR and stuff, and they had a little flirtatious thing going on throughout the episode. The next episode I thought was pretty interesting was episode 7 called Splinter, and Lex had sent Lana meteorite, um, like basically kryptonite, but silver kryptonite. And when Clark had gotten a sliver of that into his body, it started making him have hallucinations and feeling and paranoid delusions where he felt everyone was against him, even his own parents. And it wasn't until they figured out what happened, was able to get that out of him, that he was able to gain his recomposure. So we find out that regular kryptonite can kill him. Red kryptonite can make him be like a bad boy, and the silver kryptonite gives him basically schizophrenia. Crazy. A couple episodes after that was Lexmas, and I thought that was a great episode because uh, in the beginning of the episode, Lex gets robbed and shot, and as he's facing death, in his mind, he's also living his dream life. But what brings him out of it is, and his dream life is being married to Lana and having kids. And what drew him out of this dream and back into reality was that in the dream, Lana was dying, and he asked his father to help her, and he denied her. And as his dream world was crumbling, he woke into the real world and realized that he was just living but a dream, and now must face the reality of what he could have had or what he possibly can have against what he has now in reality. So I think that that's a pretty cool episode. Of course, Fanatic is the next episode where Jonathan wins the Senate race and is nearly assassinated, but is saved, of course, by Clark. Um, I think that even the next couple episodes, Reckoning was a good episode where Lana learns about Clark's powers, but she winds up dying. Clark makes a deal with Jor-El to be able to go back in time to avoid that. But what that does is creates the death of Jonathan Kent later on, uh, as he learns that Lionel has the truth about Clark and is afraid that he's going to be blackmailing the Kents and winds up having a heart attack. And we lose Mr. Kent, Pa Kent. Pa Kent! Now, basically, the rest of the episodes up until the last episode, Vessel, and build up Lex's and Lana's relationship. Clark's dealing with that. Clark, in the episodes between the middle and to the end here, he faced things like being hypnotized by a lady with a pendant, um, dealing with thinking that Lionel was after him, but really Lionel was trying to help them. And also, we see Pa Kent near the end where he wanted Clark to kill Lex Luthor, but was really fine in disguise. Fine basically was revealed to be Brainiac through the episodes, and so basically, Brainiac was kind of like the main antagonist, and Jor-El was really trying to help, and Lionel Luthor was really trying to help because Lionel Luthor was a vessel. I mean, not a vessel, but like an oracle. He was doing all these symbols and stuff from the first episode on until he realized, and everyone realized, that he was being used as a gateway to warn Clark about Zod's coming and maybe how to deal with that. And so, actually, and there's also like a Saw type of episode where Lionel and Martha were kidnapped, and Lionel actually helped Martha get out of there, and ultimately that's when it was known that he knew about Clark and that he was going to vow to keep the secret for Clark. Lionel feels very close to Martha and obviously has love for her because of her innocence, and I feel like he is honest about, like, he won't screw her over because of her, you know what I mean? Even though his instincts may kick in, you know. And so I think that's a pretty interesting thing. Will she hook up with Lionel or not in later seasons or not? Also, at the end of the season, Martha becomes Jonathan's replacement on the Senate seat, and Lois is her manager, campaign manager. But as they were going to in the last episode, as they were going to Washington D.C. or something, Fine or Brainiac had control of the plane they were in, and they wound up both passing out. So we'll find out who saves them. In episode Vessel, it becomes official that Zod inhabits Lex. Riots break out because Fine releases a virus worldwide that takes down all the technology in all the areas. We see riots all over the place. And as Chloe's trying to escape the Daily Planet, she runs into Lionel Luthor. But they're both taken out and dragged out of the limo and kind of beat up a bit. We'll see what happens to them. Lana. Sorry, took me a second there. Lana goes and meets Lex at the Luthor Corp tower there on top to connect with him and basically smooch it up and figure out what they're going to do now for as far as they're concerned. So at this point, Lana has turned full Team Lex, but I don't know how much he really knows what's happening in his mind or that he's being possessed by Zod. There's no knowledge on whether she is aware of that or not at this point in time of her character's perception. And to top it all off, Lex sends Clark to the Phantom Zone. He yeeted that man to the Shadow Realm and is in that little floating prison that flips around and around and around forever and ever into space. And that's where Clark is. So, who's saving Clark? Who's getting Zod and Lex separated? Who's helping out Mrs. Kent and Lois? What's going to happen to Chloe? What's going to happen to Lionel? Because Lionel seems to be on a redemption arc here for his own self. And we'll see how far that goes. And Lex has everything he's ever desired. Full power. Now, what he's going to do with that is another thing. But I think that this particular episode really ramped it up. It's really, the cast has hit their own strides together and separately as their characters. I really like the dynamics between all of them because now there's a nice history for not only the characters' interactions, but the actors behind the scenes who tend to spend time together. That helps the chemistry and everything, and you can really tell that. I mean, like, listen, there's always going to be faults and downfalls of every project, so to speak. There's always going to be a clunker here and there in a 22 episode a season show, a show that's got 200 plus episodes. There's going to be a couple clunkers in there. But this particular season, I think, has really stepped it up and has left us with a good cliffhanger. That's my particular opinion and thoughts on season 5 of Smallville. But what are your thoughts of season 5 of Smallville? Let me know down below. Let me hear it. But until next time, peace, Schnookums.